or drawings in them. I just kept pushing it and went to the extent of studying art in school. So it's been art all my life. I try to conceptualize what I want to create in my head. Even in as much as scattered as it might be, I create it in my head first, then I put it on paper. I sketch, then I try to pick colors, and I proceed to the main piece. A friend of mine told me, like, there's really nothing that could be achieved with graffiti here. The piece behind me is titled Bold Steps. So I'm just trying to put my own as an abstract journey of African fashion has come so far. The word there is Ikeakpa. Ikeakpa is a Bini word for movement. So we are it's just a movement, and we have the shoes here, which shows the flow and the storm which the movement creates, while working. I'm also 7. I'm an African urban artist and design consultant.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arrested former governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, hours after the inauguration of his successor. And in preparation for the 2023 elections, Northeast Business Forum buys PDP presidential candidate a form, and that's former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. Well, this is Plus Politics, and I am Mary Anacom. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has arrested the immediate past governor of Anambra State, Willie Obiano, at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos. Obiano had reportedly been on the watch list of the EFCC following the Commission's letter to the Controller General of the Nigeria Immigration Service on November 15, 2021, requesting immigration to place Obiano on a watch list and inform it at any time if he's traveling out of the country from any of the international airports and other points of entry and exit. It was learned that Obiano was arrested for allegedly mismanaging over 17 billion naira Pari Club refund and security votes. Well, joining us to discuss this is Obinna Chiku and Elvis Asia. They are both legal practitioners. Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for having me on the program.
Elvis, I was very tempted to call your surname Asia, but I tried not to. Well, I'm going to start with you, Barrister Chiku. For Governor Obiano, who has been a very low-key governor, hardly on TV, never really was on the media, he had very many spokesperson, was hardly in the news per se. One would not necessarily have thought that he would be on the watch list of the EFCC. I mean, again, he just handed over to his predecessor, and many people are asking questions as to where he was going. But when you heard the story or the news that, the breaking news that he was being arrested by the EFCC, what were your thoughts?
By the EFCC. But again, to me, it has always been the same thing. It's the same story. I can tell you, after from 1999 to 2003, immediately after that regime passed, EFCC also swooped in and arrested quite a number of them. But to me, the question or the aspect that I would like to look at is that how many of them have EFCC been able to secure conviction? I am not really happy or enthused or enthusiastic or I don't know how to describe it, that he was arrested, given the fact that it has always been the same thing. And I think you cannot, there's this saying that you can't do something and expect different results. So that didn't really, it didn't jump out for me, but just that one can conclude that it was expected because that has been the modus operandi of EFCC.
Interesting. Elvis, a lot of people are saying that this is that usual witch hunt of those who are not in the ruling party. Some are making cases that if he were to be in the ruling party, this would have not necessarily been the case. And people made jokes, even on social media, saying if he had known, immediately after handing over, he would have declared for the ruling party and maybe all would have been well. But looking at it, this is the only time that this man has been stripped of his immunity. And what better time to swoop in if there be any
the powers to arrest him and prosecute him if they find him wanting with respect to any particular crime that was committed during the course of his tenure. Yes, it is true that in Nigeria, once you are in the ruling party, your sins are likely to be forgiven, but that doesn't give other people, immunity, so to say, from being arrested and prosecuted in accordance with the law. I think what is important is whether or not there is something, the EFCC has evidence, the EFCC has garnered sufficient evidence against him, whether they have what it takes to really succeed in an action, in a criminal charge against him. I think that's what is really important. At the end of the day, we all will have some sentimental reasons why we want somebody to go scot-free. Let us start from somewhere. We all know that, we know in this country that the governors had under the canopy of immunity to commit all sorts of evil, particularly financial misappropriation. I'm not saying that Obiano is guilty, but I'm saying that the EFCC has the rights and the powers to go after him. In fact, I'm even surprised. What is surprising for me, actually, is the fact that we wait till the tenure is over to do a proper investigation. The law in this country, since 2002, as interpreted by the Supreme Court, is that a governor or even a president can be investigated. So one would have expected that, as of now, the EFCC will have sufficient evidence. They have all the, because I've dealt with them with respect to, because they're still investigating. That's a very bad signal. It just, shows that perhaps they haven't really done their work. They had 8 years to investigate this man. They had 8 years to investigate any other governor, president, or their deputies or vice president of the country. So by now, one would have thought that they already have information. Before you arrest somebody, you should have something. You're arresting somebody for a crime. You need to say exactly the reason why you're arresting somebody. If you are saying after almost 24 hours that you cannot disclose the reason why somebody is being arrested, that sends a bad signal out there, and it might confirm what some people are saying, that perhaps it's because it's not in the opposition, in the ruling party, that he's been arrested the way he has been arrested.
What Barrister Chukwu said earlier on, that he's not necessarily surprised at this, because this seems to be the modus operandi of the EFCC and sometimes even the DSS. We hear about these arrests. We hear, it's spread across the front pages of our newspapers, but then he's talking about the follow-through here. So I'm going to pose that question to you. Why is there a difficulty in the follow-through? I know you've talked about the fact that these investigations needed to have started earlier on, but here we are. Things are not done the way you expect it to be done. But why do you think that the EFCC finds it very difficult to follow through with these cases, and half the time we never see the end of it?
Well, the reason, in my view, is obvious. A lot of these things are politically motivated. Yes, there's genuine reason for going after political office holders, those who enjoy immunity-wise in office. But in most cases, these investigations are politically motivated, and the proper things are not done. The investigation is not shoddily done, and when charges are filed, you see that the courts will throw most of these charges out, which is why for so many years, a lot of governors have been arrested, and not much has been done in terms of conviction. Because at the end of the day, political motivation is actually the reason behind some of this investigation. And secondly, the EFCC I made the point earlier that you are arresting somebody who has been in office for 8 years. And you arrested him yesterday, and today you are still saying that, oh, you cannot disclose the reason why he has been arrested. That clearly shows that you have nothing. That clearly shows that you haven't done your homework. The EFCC and other security agencies must, learn to do their homework properly before people are arrested. Otherwise, you are going to continue to have, the same issue of people being let go by the court because of, shoddy investigation by the police. I think we need to find a way to, I think it's, again, political influence and the fact that, those who have governed states for years with the security votes they have embezzled and other monies they have taken without proper accountability, they're able to, play along with the system and prevent these prosecutions from seeing the light of the day.
Let me come back to you, Barrister Chukwu, just to pick up from where he stopped. He's talking about the follow-through issue here, and he's made a case, and I'm wondering if he's saying that half the time these things are politically motivated, and the Paris Club Fund and the security votes, which nobody ever knows how much it is. Where does that leave the EFCC in all of this?
Okay, to me, I think that I will say that EFCC does not have the capacity to deal with this type of crime. Because over time, we have seen not 1, not 3, not 10, not 15. It has become like a normal thing for EFCC. Once a public officer exhausts or the tenure expires, the next thing EFCC swoops on him and is possibly arrested, kept for a few days, taken to court, granted bail. The politician comes back to the society and never allows the society to rest with the enormous money that they have pilfered or fleeced from the government treasury. To me, I will conclude that EFCC, because like I said before, you can't continue to do the same thing. You can't continue to do the same thing. You wait until when they leave office and you now invited them and you start to investigate. That's not how it should be done. To me, I will think that if Nigerians are serious, if the legislators, the executive and the executive are serious, we should take away these powers from EFCC and send this power to try political or public office holders before a special court. Call it a tribunal.
But there has to be a law enforcement, but law enforcement has to do the arresting. So when you say the powers be taken away from EFCC, they're not the courts, of course. You're talking about a tribunal of sorts. But law enforcement does have a role to play, and that's why the EFCC was created in the first place, right?
It does appear to me that the Nigerian police has been relegated to the background. In the same vein, we can allow, after all, at the beginning of a tenure, the politician is made to take an oath, is made to appear before the code of conduct, where he signs respective forms. Why can't we also make it, have a law that stipulates that immediately the tenure, in fact, few days to the end of the tenure, the same politician goes back to the code of conduct and try to look at the papers and look at all that has transpired and see, once there's any infraction, the public office holder is taken to a special court. Then from the special court, that will be like a tribunal that must not exceed 90 days or 120 days. So that this issue of EFCC swooping on a politician, arresting, talking the politician or the immediate past public office holder, and a few months. Who's going
to chair that tribunal? Who's going to sit at that tribunal? Because we're complaining about shortages.
The law should provide that
How?
the person that must be the judge or the chairman of that tribunal must have the same qualification with that of a high court of Nigeria. So that the issue of political office holder pilfering with public funds can be done within 90 days or 120 days. If we're able to do that and the politician is convicted within 90 days or 120 days, that will serve as a deterrent to others. It will make the others to sit up. People will now know that once you get into serve, that as soon as you leave office, within 90 days or 120 days, all issues pertaining to money laundering and pilfering of public coffers will be laid to rest instead of this macabre dance that we are witnessing. Because I can tell you, at the end of the day, the immediate past governor of Anambra State, give it in the next 1-2 months, he will be granted bail. Of course, it's a bailable offense. The next thing he will start to junkate all over the world, enjoying whatever, and again hire lawyers and ensure that the judicial process is somehow delayed. Look at the governor of Abia State, the former governor of Abia State. He's still there. He's serving in the Senate, still getting more money from Nigeria. This is a man that was accused, that was alleged to have pilfered from the coffers of Abia State. Today, he is the minority leader in the Senate, and he continues to enjoy much more money than the ordinary Nigerian that elected him to serve, wherein he did not serve. And according to what EFCC said, that at the end of the day, he ended up pilfering with Abia State funds. The same thing, not only Abia State, the same thing is across all the states in Nigeria. You arraign them a few months after, they are granted bail, they go back, contest elective position, get into the Senate, get somewhat covering from the Senate, and from the Senate, they start to earn their pension from the state government. The pension is still running. The same governor earns pension from the state. The same governor earns money from the Senate. He has enough money to frustrate the judiciary. One of the conditions of bail is that the person granted bail must not impede the investigation. It must not interfere with trial. But with the kind of money that we are putting in their hands, why can't the person interfere with trial?
So you're saying that the judiciary is complicit, because from what you're saying that the judiciary is complicit because you're talking about financial inducements here, meaning that the bench, we're talking about the whole judiciary.
No,
you're implicating them.
No, I didn't say that he will use the money to induce judiciary.
So what exactly did you mean by implication?
He uses the money, hire 20, 30 senior advocates of Nigeria, bring them to court, bring more lawyers to court. As a senior advocate is coming, he comes with 2 more. At the end of the day, he has 150 lawyers that are standing, that are defending him. Once a judge makes a pronouncement, they file an interlocutory application at the Court of Appeal. By the time that they go through that interlocutory application at the Court of Appeal, the matter is delayed for another 1-2 years. They come back again, assuming if the appeal rules against them, they come back again and start with the process. Once a judge makes another action or takes another action, or the other party files or argues on a particular issue, they go back to appeal, from appeal court to Supreme Court. By the time they come back, 7, 8, 10 or more years.
Okay, let me go back to Elvis.
Because he has money. And sorry, whilst that was still going on, he continues to earn his pension from the state government. Even as Obiano is there, even if he spends 6 months there or 1 year, the pension from Anambra State, which he created for himself, will still be running. What kind of system is that? That a man that is alleged to have pilfered or fleeced the money belonging to the people is giving more money by government.
Okay, we'll come back to talk about that. We'll come back to talk about that. Let's put a pin there. Let me come to Elvis. Elvis, go back to looking at how these bodies were created, how the heads of these bodies are picked, crimes in the country, found guilty, thrown behind bars.
But unfortunately, we don't seem to have regards for building institutions in this country. You were in this country, or we were in this country when somebody was heading the EFCC for years without, the Senate approval, without National Assembly approving it in line with the law. Actions like that have, over the years, destroyed the independence of the EFCC and other security agencies, such that today, in a way, they're answerable to those who appoint them. Typically, the law is that, when the president appoints the head of the EFCC, it's supposed to be subject to ratification, by the National Assembly. But like I said, with respect to the former EFCC chairman, corruption by power or by the strength or the strength of the president, you need to create institutions that are independent, institutions that have capacity, institutions that have men and women that are well trained to do this investigation without being influenced. I've dealt with EFCC on a few occasions. You cannot, for example, put the kind of lawyers, the kind of people that they have to do investigation and prosecution at the EFCC. You can't put it side by side with the lawyers that are available to those who have taken so much money from the system. Just like my late friend said, those who can, afford to get as many senior advocates and the best lawyers in the country. So you need to find a way to train, people in the FCC, not just in the FCC, but other security agencies, so that their jobs can be done. And then again,
but you say it's interesting that these ideas are thrown out, and I'm not thinking that you're the first person that has come up with this idea. But why do you think that our leaders have never paid attention to this, or even tried to see how independent these guys can be? What do you think is at the core of the foot dragging?
I think the core of the problem is that it's become a culture in this country. It's culture of impunity. The next person is looking for an opportunity to be exculpated from a crime or from bad behavior by influencing the system. It's become a culture. So we need to find a way to address that culture, because those who are presidents, governors, the FCC chairman, other security agencies, they are part of they are Nigerians. And so we have all learned this, we have all inculcated this habit of, allowing just one person to determine what happens. We don't have, that institutional culture that can engender, an effective response in terms of investigation and prosecution. So it's more like a cultural thing. I mean, somebody who's, you have politicians who have stolen money, for example. When they go to their villages, they are celebrated. People lie on the street, people wait for hours to see them because they have money to throw around. It's a cultural thing, and we have to go back to that, because there's no amount of law, even if you amend the law today to create not accommodating, some of these actions by political office holders and other people who are flouting the laws across the country, then you will see that reflected in the way and manner the investigation is done, in the way and manner prosecution is done, in the way and manner the court even handles it. So it's a systemic problem, and we need to address that system rather than just picking up one or two issues.
Unfortunately, time is not our friend, but I want to say thank you, Barrister Obinna and Elvis Asia. Thank you so much for speaking with us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you all for staying with us. We'll take a short break. When we come back, the Northeast Business Forum has purchased the PDP presidential form for the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar. We'll talk about this after the break.
The call by the Southeast, or the entire South, as it were, is not misplaced. But if you are to compute the number of years that the North has held power from 1999 to this period that we are, 2022, you will discover that the South has held power even more, much as we are not looking at things from that perspective. Olusegun Obasanjo, that I told you in the beginning, had 8 years from 1999 to 2007. He was succeeded by President Yaradua, who was short-lived. After about 2 years to 3 years, we lost President Yaradua, and Goodluck Jonathan, another Southerner, continued until about 2015.
My dear, you can't give me what you want. In the first place, let me say this to you, that as the campaign comes up, all you're going to hear different slogan. I will build road, I will do this, I will. Now, how will Nigeria trust you? And how will they trust them? It takes track record, what you've never done in the past.
One thing that we must be grateful for is that under Dr. Bukola Saraki, the 8th Senate stood up to the failures of the Nigerian, of the executive. We must be grateful for that. I'll give you another example. Never before done. When every time the executive came to the 8th Senate to say, give us an approval for a loan, he always said, the 8th Senate always said, show us how that money is going to be spent. Show us documents relating to that loan, evidence for the application of that funding. Show us how we're going to repay that. Show us documents. Show us a plan from taking the debt to repaying the debt. Show us a plan. And on 11 occasions, the executive refused to do so.
If you lose soap, you're gone. There are a lot of Mrs. the NAFDAC woman. When she took over, so when she's too started, too publicity. He would go and do an operation. He would put it on paper, put it on social media. He would take picture. I will be wondering what kind of cop is this. But the truth of the matter is this: you can't afford to drown in hopelessness. In fact, for people like us, you just have to fight and regain and reclaim your country.
The law should and must apply to all and not some. I mean, our leaders can't keep picking and choosing the laws that they want to obey and the ones that they want to discard. I look forward to a time when accountability will be the watchword of Nigeria's leaders. Maybe then, just maybe then, Nigeria can truly work.
With regards to the electoral laws, well, I do not care too much about those laws as much as I care about the human resources that are going to conduct elections. And INEC, as it is presently composed, is made up of people who do not have the credibility to conduct free and fair elections. I'm not interested in zoning. I hope that Nigeria would continue to search for competent Nigerians who can run this country effectively, efficiently, in a just and egalitarian manner, so that these ethnic jingoists will not have a say in how we run our lives. We have done this whole rotational presidency for 20 years now. We've taken the presidency, Nigeria has taken the ruling class has taken the presidency to as many places as possible. But what they have not taken the presidency to is the zone of competency, zone of justice, zone of men of integrity. So if we make the mistake again of zoning to another incompetent character simply because of the location of his village, well, we will regret it.
So we are saying that what obtained about 60 years ago cannot confidently obtain now. So with respect to grazing routes, as a matter of fact, we're in a modern civilization. Modern civilization does not really give room for somebody taking cattle from the north down to the Port Harcourt. Efforts must be made These people, these boys that are taking this cattle.
4 hours after the People's Democrats nomination form for him, and that he was emotional about it. He added that the challenges before Nigerians are enormous and that its unity is threatened. He stated that the economy and security were in bad state, adding that the challenges require the unity of everybody within the country. Well, joining us to discuss this is Babashola Adegbuyi, a political analyst, and Dayo Kayode, a political technocrat. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Yeah, my pleasure being here.
Great.
Thanks for having me.
Great. Babashola, let me start with you before I go to Mr. Kayode. This is not the first time the Vice President has been vying for this office. He's run for this office many times, and again, he's throwing his hat into the ring. In fact, one of the first persons to pick up this form. Even though many others who have indicated interest within the party are still consulting, he seems to have put his foot forward. I remember the video that was trending when he was asked if he was certain he would be able to pick this ticket up. He did say that, he did answer saying, when has he never gotten the ticket? Now, this has raised a lot of concerns for people as to the internal democracy within the People's Democratic Party. But let's talk about the man, Atiku Abubakar.
Okay, thank you once again. Atiku Abubakar actually has been contesting for this position since 1993 under the platform of Social Democratic Party, and he lost to Moshood Abiola that time. Then in 2007, from 2007 till date, he has been trying to contest for this position. Being the former #2 man in Nigeria, he has the experience to contest for the position and is a qualified person. Being a Nigerian, being the position, and he has the understanding of how Nigeria runs. But the main question is, will he be able to deliver as a president? And for contesting for this position for the past 1993 up to this time, that we are talking of about 29 years ago. So by next year, it's going to be 30 years that Atiku Abubakar has been vying for this position. The question now is, has it always been reviewing his political manifesto? Are they the same thing that he has been talking about? Has he been able to upgrade himself? And another question that we have is, looking at his age, by this time next year, by the time we'll be contesting the election next year, Atiku Abubakar will be about 76 years of age, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, which is about 76 years of age. So at 76, with looking at the antecedent of the present president who came in at 75 or 76 too, looking at the age and what we're able to deliver in different countries that are over 70 years of age, how many of them have been able to perform very well or have been able to?
Well, you have a Joe Biden in the US. Don't you think he's doing a great job?
Final decision, but the people attached to the president also has a role to play. But as a president, the final decision lies with him. Whatever you do at that time is what happens to the country. So whether Biden is 80 years of age or 90 years, the question is, has he been able to supersede the last president of the United States?
But what we're talking about, Atiku, let me go to Dayo Kayode. Mr. Kayode, I heard you trying to interject, but then my question is, the former vice president recently has been making a lot of statements. He did say that if the PDP does not pick up does not win the elections come 2023, he and those who are elder statesmen in the party will retire, and that means the PDP might fail and wrap up in 2023. He also did say that he talked about his age, that he will retire in no time, from politics come 2023 if, again, he's unable to pick that ticket. So he's making a lot of statements about his age, which a lot of people look at, but should we be considering his age? Again, I want to throw this in. The president that we have in power now, President Muhammadu Buhari, has been in fact, the only person who has always wanted to be president. 4 times he tried to be president, and finally he got the chance. But then Nigerians are looking at themselves wondering, why did we even vote for this man? Because if you were so eager to be president, you should have been able to give us something to hold on to. So if we have another person like President Buhari being so eager for office, should we again throw our weight behind that kind of person?
Okay. Thank you for the array of questions you have asked me, and I'll be picking them one after the other. But before that, let me first of all appreciate those young business guys from the Northeast that are collected or paid for that form for His Excellency Atiku, you understand, for this presidential election. Now, the first thing is, for them to have collected that form, it has made them to be part of it. That means to say, along the line, they can tell His Excellency, former Vice President of Nigeria, Atiku, that look, these are the things we are looking for. These are 1, 2, 3 that are the aspirations and expectations of the people from you. That is to say that Atiku is not there as only himself, but as representing the interests of the people that collected that form for him. That is one. So, if you're talking about his health and age, ever since, how many times have you heard about Atiku going for medical tourism?
He's not our president. He's not the president of the country. No, sir. I just want, no. He's not the president. So we're not following his health trip stories. But when you become president, when you have to go for a health trip, it's our business because we have to be informed. But he's not our president, so we are not interested in what he's doing with his health. And even if he were going on such, it would not be news to us, would it?
Are you with me?
I am.
I know what I am saying. Okay. You allow me, I'm building a case. You allow me to learn, please.
Okay.
Now, we have seen a lot of aspirants now going for health tourism. In Yoruba, they always say something. Oju no ti ma mo. I mean, àárọ̀ no ti ma mo oju to ma ba ni kalẹ̀. That is, it is in the morning that you'll be able to identify which eyes will take you from morning till night. All right? Now, if you're also talking about age, for goodness, go and bring another age mate of Atiku side by side. He might not be able to be as agile as he is.
Okay.
I have seen younger guys that cannot go on 100-meter dash as far as I will go. Who I am even older than with about 15 years. That is also aside. This time around, we are talking about, let us put people that are really prepared in political offices. Not all people who have been watching all these people on the sideline. So far so good. I strongly believe that Atiku, if he should get there, and then with people like us, try to put him on his toes according to the needs, aspirations of the people.
Okay.
I think Nigeria will move forward.
Okay.
One, he got that experience as a vice president. Ever since he has been upgrading himself as regards developmental projects, development activities in the whole world vis-a-vis Nigeria. So what are you talking about?
So I want to ask a question quickly so that I can go back to Babashola. You said that people like you would put him on his toes. Where are people like you now when we have a president that everybody seems to be complaining about? Why are you not?
Actually, everybody wanted a change, but never defined that change. And it is now difficult for people to now be telling him this. But with Atiku Abubakar coming in, we have defined the needs and aspirations of the people. Okay. The aggregate of our needs, we have defined it. And let's say, I'm sure the people that bought form for him will have made him to understand.
Okay.
And now he had also known that there is nothing he can do outside the people.
All right.
The moment he knows that, and we also know our onions, that our president is not a president of his own, but a president for the people, then we will always be monitoring him and then be telling him from time to time the needs and aspirations of the people.
All right, because of time, let me go back to Babashala. Babashala, let's look at, again, I'm looking at what the PDP chieftain is capable of bringing to the table. Now, just as I said, a lot of people expected Mr. President to damn the consequences, for the want of a better way to describe it, and steer the ship of Nigeria to the promised land. Now, this has not necessarily been the case. Who's to say that Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who's not been able to win for how many years, will be able to pull the kind of weight that he was even able to pull last in 2019. We saw how close the call was. But then the Nigeria of 2019 is not the Nigeria of 2022. Neither would it be the Nigeria of 2023. How certain is the PDP that this aspirant, of course, we're not talking about him as if he's been given the flag already, but what can he really bring to the table that would make Nigerians look in his direction?
Okay, if I to look at the antecedents of PDP, I will tell you that the PDP is not different from the APC. However, things can change. Human beings can change. They can have new set of people coming into the political party to re-engineer the party and come up with a good manifesto. Well, like I do tell people, personally, I am not no longer interested in the manifesto. I am not interested in what you have been able to do before and what people have been able, what people say about you. Now, in 2023, if PDP is actually interested in taking over that position through any of his candidates, it means that they need to review, to rejig the political party structure. They need to do a lot of things by, for example, we need to start seeing their hands. Now the political party is silent. Since 2019, hardly do we hear of PDP again, because it's like the opposition party has gone to sleep. The opposition party is no longer interested in what is happening to Nigerians. All they may do now is once in a while they make noise to let people know that they are still existing. If they actually want people to support for 2023, I can't even answer that question. But it all depends on who they present as their own candidate. If they present a candidate that is better than the candidate of APC, maybe PDP will come back to position. But if not, I doubt.
All that remains to be seen, but I want to say thank you, Daya Kayode, Babashala Adegbuyi. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for being part of the conversation. There's a lot that's going to play out in the next couple of months.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, thank you all for staying with us on the show tonight. As we wrap up for the week, we'll bring you our weekly roundup of the show, and you can be part of the conversations that we've had all through the week. But don't forget, you can watch our show's replays on YouTube live. Of course, you can go to PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. I'm Mariana Cohn. I will see you next week on Plus Politics.
I don't think that we really have any crisis within the party. What we have within the party is the ambition of some few individuals that have decided to take the governor hostage. Because what is about the crisis now has to do with 2023 and 2024. And you all know that the governor is not planning to run for a third tenure, and the governor is not planning to run for any election now. But those people who have the ambition to run for 2023 and 2024 have decided to take the governor hostage and pressurizing him to dissolve or to reconcile or harmonize the structures of the party. That what we are having is that these people have interest for 2023 and 2024 are trying to pressurize the governor to what they call harmonization or integration.
In respect of the APC proposed March 26 National Convention, there was already a notification letter in that regard written to INEC by Buni-led caretaker committee of the party, which of course meets the 21 days notice as required by the law. So if they are working with that direction, then the party can still, with position of the law, go ahead with the National Convention in this month of March. But however, of recent we heard about the plans of some leaders in the said party to replace the governor of Yobe State, Buni, with that of the Niger State counterpart, Abubakar Sani Bello, as the party's caretaker chairman. This is according to asseverations of Governor Rufai on Channels Television. Remember I said the ball is in their court. Any attempt to go by this direction, no matter how smart the party leadership is, we hold the chance of APC to conduct this party national congress as planned in this month of March.
We don't understand why Philip Shaibu and Obaseki to be candidates of our party few weeks to our election before we had to speak to our people. Even some of them threatened to go to court. You follow the incident. In fact, when Fayose made that prediction, today Fayose has been vindicated. And that's why Governor Zowike had to apologize to Shomele. Because Shomele told him, look, this man, you are doing everything to help. You don't know him. After helping him, you will understand who he truly is. Today, Shomele has been vindicated.
Well, let me just say that to a very large extent, Soludo has a personality that is different and an experience that is different from the experience of so many governors in the country because of his unique background as former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria. And so he's an economist, he's a first-class graduate from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, in economics. He is somebody that has also bagged a lot of international awards from international institutions because of what, of his achievements as governor of CBN. And so there is a lot at stake in the Soludo, Soludo as a governor of Anambra State. And what is critical is that a lot more people, if Soludo fails, then it will be difficult for Nigerians to begin to make a case for people with the kind of pedigree that Soludo has.
Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Welcome to your favorite program, The Moment of Truth, brought to you by the Citadel Global Community Church. Our God is a God of salvation, far above all principality and power, and might and dominion, that regardless of what happens in this season, you will escape. Say to your neighbor, there is no peace for the wicked. The lazy man does not roast what he took in hunting, but diligence is a man's precious possession. Finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might.
Moment of Truth with Pastor Tunde Bakare, Sundays, 7 p.m. on PlusTvAfrica.
My name is Demola Bakare. To the new entrants to my world, I am Honorable Justice Demola Bakare, a prince from the Jibosho ruling house of the Bagura nation. I was born in Ibadan, then the capital of Old Western State, now the capital of Oyo State. Those were lovely days of peace and tranquility. I attended UMC Demonstration School at Okeado, Ibadan. And I remember her after school work with my sister and other students from school compound through Imale Falafia College Crescent area. Then, we all never knew what life had in stock for us. It was a life of que sera. We had fun, just sleeping and waking up for school the next day.